Shit, depending on how long it takes you to share stuff, we might even start early.
I'm gonna try to get us done on time today so we can meet our buddies and not have them have to wait. Because we're done with the buzzed recaps for the time being.
Until you find something else that you insist I have to know about, and we just don't have time to watch.
There are very few things I feel that are so important to me that you know about it, that we do a weekly hours-long discussion about them.
With diagrams where you set up the Pepe Sylvia board and crazedly pointed things.
Because you're already a Star Wars fan, and you've already seen all of those movies, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing we'd do probably. Though I have a feeling we probably should get kind of drunk and just do like a drunk history Star Wars thing. Like, I think that would be kind of fun. But I'm gonna let the buzzed recap breathe for a little bit. Okay, let's go. Let's get going. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Jedi Enclave Presents You Now. This is Podcasting Podcast, where we talk about the things that are happening in Star Wars and other things. Boomhauer says, the sound is extremely soft. I'm old, but not going deaf old.
I mean, it looks good.
It looks pretty. You know what? Just to make you happy, I will turn it up. I can't do that.
Careful, because you don't want us to peak.
Are you sure it's too soft?
I mean... Can you try turning it up on your end, maybe? I don't know.
I feel like I've balanced these mics very carefully.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, Boomhauer. I'm sorry, man. Anyway.
If it's actually soft, maybe someone else will chime in and say it's really soft, and then we'll
I mean, there's shit I can do, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is where we talk about Star Wars and other nerddom, fun fantasy things that we enjoy. By the way, I made my partner watch both seasons of Rings of Power.
He was telling me now he's watching through the movies again.
Oh, so you guys talked about it? Yeah, because he so I figured he would enjoy it. Like, he would enjoy it enough to like get from start to finish.
Does he love Celebrimbor as much as you do?
He likes the show in general way more than I thought he would. And I didn't think he was going to hate it.
Yeah.
But he really likes Galadriel.
Okay. Yeah.
And on the second rewatch of this, I remember that half of the reason that I'm in love with that show, because the acting is good, the writing is fine. Like I'm not a huge Tolkien nerd, so like the shit that they took liberties on, I didn't really give a shit about because I didn't know about him anyway. The music in that show is fucking credible.
It's really good.
Watching it the second time, because I've heard this Bear McCreary, the guy that wrote the music for it, I've heard on other projects that I've adored. I mean, it's so good. He did Battlestar Galactica. He did God of War Ragnarok. Like, he's done all these amazing projects, and I don't know why I was just like so surprised. And there's that song that Tom Bombadil sings.
Yep.
And that's how the season ends. Is him and Gandalf singing the song, and I sat there and cried because it's such a good music. It's so amazing. Speaking of music, we also watched. Hold on. Before I get into this, real quick, we'll do the boilerplate. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube,
comment, subscribe,
join us on Discord.
All the places. It helps with the algorithm.
Yes. And today we're talking about Star Wars news. We're rating all the Disney Plus MCU shows to date. And we were going to talk about Penguin today. In fact, I think it might still be on the thumbnail. And I'm very sorry, that's a lie. We're gonna do the last part of the season next week, because like by the time this podcast comes out, the season finale will have already happened.
I feel like we've avoided telling lies on the internet for so long that we're allowed this one.
Yeah.
This one utterly inconsequential and accidental.
Which doesn't even qualify as a lie, I don't think.
It's not truth in advertising, that's for sure.
Also, after this at 7, our friends from Gremlin Squad will be meeting up with us. and we'll do some Star Wars gaming, and that will be fun.
Because you cowed to the people demanding that you do Star
the
Wars.
The one person that mad reacted.
Angry react.
Yeah, because we did Call of Duty Zombies yesterday, and one guy mad reacted, and I was like, okay, we better do Star Wars probably.
Don't want to lose the entire audience.
Yeah. So my partner and I also watched music by John Williams.
I watched that this afternoon as well.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. I didn't put that on our rundown as you have to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna, but now that you've actually seen it, that's great.
So I was not aware that John Williams started as a jazz pianist.
Oh yeah,
it makes a ton of it makes total sense in
yes.
retrospect, but that was just something I didn't know about.
Yeah, he was a session player. His father was a session player. There's a lot. The thing I loved about this is there's a lot of shit. I feel like every Star Wars fan is a John Williams fan, right?
By default,
yes. Yeah. But few people are obsessed with, or like the Star Wars fans that are actual musicians, like classically trained musicians, have a deeper love for John Williams that people realize, and that's kind of like where we are, I think.
Yeah. Because
I became a professional musician. Like I wanted to go to college and study music because of John Williams, and like that shit is just like all of that music I listened to growing up on CDs. And that's the goofy thing about this is that so it's a biographical thing on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it goes through John Williams' musical career essentially,
and it feels a little eulogistic.
Maybe just a little. Yeah.
It's like he didn't die, right? Because he's in it.
Yeah,
like he talks in it. You know, there's a lot of shit that I knew just being a John Williams super fan. Mm-hmm. For example, the fact that he had a wife that tragically died when he was in his 40s, and
he wrote a violin concerto in her memory.
Right, and was suddenly sprung with single fatherhood of several teenage children, and probably wasn't coping with it in a very healthy way. Just kind of like buried himself in his work.
Yeah, because that was right before 1977.
Yeah, it was before. I think before Jaws, even before he did Jaws. Yeah. And the one thing that this kind of confirms, the thing, something we all know as John Williams fans, is that he is such a genuinely kind and gentle soul. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny to listen to him talk about his own work, because he, like, I don't think that he's hard on himself in an undue way. I have a feeling that John Williams doesn't think that what he does is that impressive.
It's like one of the last sequences of shots is him talking about the stuff that he did that he genuinely likes. So like, yeah, Yoda's theme was really good.
Yeah.
The second movement of that violin concerto, not the rest of it, just the second movement.
I know. And it's like
it's like, dude, you wrote so much utterly brilliant music.
Everything. It's just, everything he's ever written is so like you know that one Amazonian tribe that keeps killing missionaries because they've never had contact with the outside world. You go over there and play Darth Vader's theme for them, they know what it is. You know, yeah. It's like everyone, every corner of the planet, everyone knows John Williams' music, and there's a reason for that. And it's not because he writes mediocre music. It is the best music that's been composed since he was working. And we've had some good American composers since then, of like the classical setting of music. John Williams is the best, and it is insane to me that John Williams, when you sit down and talk to him, and you can say something like, you are our modern day Beethoven, and he'd be like, it's not that great. When it's like, and he means it. He's not being humble just to look kind and everything. I really think that he thinks it's not that impressive.
I just want to talk about some of the anecdotes in this documentary that I liked. So, like, at one point, he was brought in to conduct the Boston Pops, and then resigned because there was a rehearsal where the orchestra members were hissing at his choice of music.
It wasn't his choice of music. They didn't say this in the documentary, but I'm familiar with this story. They were hissing at his music for Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, ooh.
And he is such a class act. There was no drama. He put his baton down and he just walked away, and then was like, "I quit." And he said some really nice things about the orchestra when it happened and everything. They had that brass section publicly apologize and begged him to come back. And
like 6 weeks later.
Yeah, and he was like, "No, I will never be the principal conductor of this orchestra again." And it, like, the man does what he says he's going to do. And he would have, of course, come back to be like their conductor laureate. Mm-hmm. He'd come back and do a few concerts a year or whatever. But he, like any other conductor, and if you don't know people who do that job, there are a lot of personalities. There are conductors that would have burned that fucking building down with the musicians in it. Mm-hmm. We just would have gone absolutely apoplectic at the disrespect that was shown to them. And he's such a class act that it's so John Williams. And it's one of the things I love about him so much is that
it's like, but they clearly don't want me here, so I will just be on my way.
Right. Also, I have a lot of shit to do. Yeah. Like, I'm scoring every movie ever, so like, do I have time to do this?
Yeah.
I love the thing of, like, him being like, "Oh yeah," and then I started becoming a conductor, and it just, like, it was just another musical thing I did, and I kind of like it.
Schindler's List. So when Steven Spielberg first played Schindler's List for him to, like, get some ideas for the music, John Williams said, "Steven, this is a beautiful film. You need a composer who's better than me to write for it." And Steven Spielberg's response was, "I know, but they're all dead.
Yeah.
So I have to settle for you, I guess."
And then wrote one of the most heart-wrenchingly beautiful themes that mankind has ever known for that movie.
And then called up Itzhak Perlman to try to get him to play for it. And Itzhak Perlman said, "Yeah, I'll think about it."
Yeah, that motherfucker knew.
Told his wife about it. His wife said, "You fucking idiot. Go call them back right now and say you'll do it."
I liked the I liked his insistence that they needed a Jewish soloist on that film. And
I mean, above and beyond the fact that Itzhak Perlman was at that point probably the best violin player.
Or at least one of them.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And you know what's really funny is we watched this and you hear, like, they use a lot of his music in the documentary.
Yep.
And it immediately made us want to watch E.T. So, like, we watched E.T. the next night. Mm-hmm. And I'll just end with this. First of all, you should watch it. But this is going to age me as well. When I was a kid, I got my first CD player that was like mine, that was like in my room. And the first CD that I owned, which kids, they were discs, they were round discs, and they were shining on one side, and if you scratched them, they wouldn't work, and you put on the thing.
I mean, I think kids know what, like, DVDs and Blu-rays are.
I don't think they do. I'm not sure that's because they just watch everything on their phone.
Oh, that's true.
Or their iPad or whatever. The first CD my dad bought me for my brand new CD player back in 1950 or whatever was the John Williams Greatest Hits 1969 to 1999, and it was a 2-disc set, and I fucking treasured that. And it had everything from Saving Private Ryan to the Sugarland Express, Born on the 4th of July, some of the music from the Olympics, some music from Star Wars, obviously. And I would lock myself in my room and read Star Wars books, which were, at the time, given my age, I was reading these Jedi Apprentice books by Jude Watson. And I would I've been frank about this before on the show. I had a really shitty childhood, particularly when I lived with my mom. And I would lock myself in my room and put those CDs on and read Star Wars books. And that is just how I disconnected from everything. And so, like, hearing all that music in this documentary, it's just like, that's how I was able to survive a really shitty situation. You just lose yourself in this, like, magnificent, glorious music that, and the other thing too is it took a couple of people, mainly George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and John Williams, to say, we're not doing disco on this. we're not doing disco on this movie. We're going to do a Wagnerian operatic fucking full-size symphony orchestra.
Yeah.
And every fucking character is going to get their own theme, and it's going to be just like Wagnerian opera, and it's going to be fucking great.
I love when they mentioned, oh yeah, we decided to hire the London Symphony Orchestra.
Right.
That's just such a casual detail.
Yeah. It just the whole thing was it was great getting to look into his life as well. Back when he was Johnny Williams, the jazz piano, the studio player, and if you haven't seen it yet, music by John Williams.
It's on Disney
really
Plus.
great,
If you have it, just go watch it. It's an excellent hour and a half or so.
All right, so we watched a couple trailers. Let's get those out of the way. Okay. MCU trailers. One of them was
Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, Captain America fights Trump voters, I think.
Maybe?
Because the whole thing I thought was like about misinformation and shadow things or whatever.
It feels like to me they're trying to make another Captain America 2. Which one was that? Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Winter Soldier. Feels like they're trying to get that kind of vibe. I feel like every time this movie comes up, I have to mention that it has allegedly had extensive reshoots.
Giancarlo Esposito's character wasn't in it until they did reshoots. So that is alarming.
It's reason for caution, I think. So reshoots happen on every movie, and it's not always a disaster.
Yeah. I think they happen on most movies.
Yeah, like Rogue One famously had tons of reshoots, and that's one of the 4 or 5 best Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Yes. It was also by far one of the most expensive because of that.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing for Solo, a Star Wars story.
I was going to mention, in fairness, they did a ton of reshoots for Solo, and that movie is not so great.
Yeah. So it's sure we'll give it a fair shake, whatever it is. I think the thing that cracks me up. So we see a lot of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk in it, and you know that he didn't do any of the performance capture for that. They just like scanned his face or whatever, and he like
it doesn't look great.
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I didn't see anything that like it wasn't like anything super jarring. The thing that cracks me up is that like we're seeing Harrison Ford as a Hulk, but we know that he doesn't know that happened. Like he wasn't in the room for any of that. So it's just like...
I mean, I imagine he at least paged through the script to say, oh, he turns into the Incredible Hulk. That's interesting. And just kept going.
I'm not even sure that's true. Because, I don't know. Harrison Ford is so prickly and like, I don't know.
Like, given what we know of Harrison Ford, I could believe he just ad-libbed all of his lines and then went home to fly in his airplane some more.
Or just get blitzed. Yeah. The other one we watched was Thunderbolts. Asterisk.
Yes.
I guess... That's meant to be this is a working title for the characters, not the film.
In universe,
yeah,
yes.
Right, yeah.
This movie just looks fun.
It does, yeah.
It's got the goofy, the punch shooty that Marvel always has.
I like David Harbour a lot, the guy that plays
Red Guardian,
the Russian guy, yeah. And I really like Florence Pugh.
Yep.
And you know what? The guy that plays Dime Store Captain America,
John Walker, yeah.
No. Or the actor, it's Kurt Russell's son.
Okay, yeah.
Something Russell. Whatever. I really like him too, despite not loving that show that he was in so much, which we're going to talk about when we rank our MCU shows. It looks fun. Are both of these movies? Neither of them are.
I believe Captain America is February. Thunderbolts is a little bit after that.
But neither of them are a series. They're both films, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about some Star Wars news real quick. First of all, we got a release date for Andor, by the way. I thought maybe we were going to get... Do you have it up?
Yep. April 22nd.
Yeah. Which
is like a week before my birthday.
Man, they're dropping Star Wars because the Skeleton Crew happens the day before my birthday.
Damn. It's like they know.
Yeah. A little further out than I wanted it to be. I wanted to... And that's just because I love Andor so much that I would very much like it to be here now.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt, based on what they did for season 1, and they've kept their writers and everything for it, I bet it's gonna be fucking great, and I'm very excited for it.
I am confidently optimistic on this. Like usually I'm cautiously optimistic, but given season 1, I am confident this is gonna be good.
There's in our
even if there are still dumbasses out there who are going to complain about bricks and screws in Star Wars.
Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Star Wars here can eat my ass. I don't care. In our thumbnail, there's at D23, which is happening in Brazil right as we speak right now. Well, probably not. I don't know. They're probably asleep. All of Brazil is asleep.
I believe they're only like an hour ahead, 2 hours ahead of us, so they're probably still awake.
Yeah. They have a stand-up, like a background you can take your picture with that droid with what's the droid's name in Andor?
K2SO?
No, the Q one.
Shit, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
That beautiful droid, because I love him. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah.
And there's a new picture of Cassian Andor. Have you seen this?
With the long coat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty badass. It's like a trench coat and shit, and it's like that looks fucking sharp. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be amazing, I think. The other thing, and this one, I have no idea what the fuck I feel about this, but Lucasfilm has announced it is doing another trilogy that will be written, and produced by Simon Kinberg, who did a bunch of the X-Men films, was producer on Logan, Deadpool and Wolverine, produced The Martian, which I love. I think that's a great movie.
So my first thought is that Lucasfilm has done this shit like
stop announcing
50 million
shit
times.
like this.
So my first thought is
this replacing one of the other ones, or are they going to do 3 different trilogies?
So my thought is, does this involve like the Rey movie? Like, is that going to be the start of a new trilogy now, or what? Because like,
is her thing separate?
Yeah, because what's her name?
Charmaine Obaid-Choi.
Yes. Like, is she still directing that? And
it's probably those 3 names in a different order. I'm just now realizing. I'm not sure if I said them right.
Whatever.
Earlier.
So, like, if this is not connected to the Rey movie, I wouldn't expect to see or hear anything about these for a good 4 or 5 years, if they even happen at all.
Yeah, that's the thing is I see an announcement like this, and it's like, show me a trailer and I'll get interested. Because this is apparently gonna be the next part of the Skywalker saga.
I thought we were done.
Yeah, well, no, I thought that's what the Rey movies were gonna be.
Because she's Rey Skywalker now.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man.
They've announced what there was a trilogy by the Game of Thrones guys. There was a trilogy.
Rian Johnson was
going to do a trilogy,
which apparently is still maybe happening.
Maybe.
That's the thing is that like everyone loves to shit on Rian Johnson on Twitter. Pretty much is the only place.
But he makes good stuff.
Yeah, he hasn't done another Star Wars thing because his life went on.
He's busy doing other shit.
Yeah, he
made Knives Out, 2 of those movies,
and they're both great. They're both really good. He also, I think he did a show with it's actually a whole bunch like Knives Out. That is similar, like a mystery show that's really good. He's done other stuff, and I'm not sure they could get him to do Star Wars right now because he's working. He's making other
financially shows. Disney could get whoever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah,
but Rian Johnson probably just has enough other commitments that he can't really do anything else right now.
Yeah. And then Taika Waititi's doing a movie. Like, what the fuck's up with that?
Supposedly.
And then I don't know what's happening with Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron,
which was happening and then was canceled and then was happening again and was canceled again.
I have no idea.
Is currently still on, maybe.
Yeah. So we've mentioned this a few times. There was a story that came out a while ago that Kathleen Kennedy was more or less being pressured by the Disney higher-ups to announce projects that weren't ready yet. And
which would explain some things.
Yeah, and I think it's what has muddied the waters so much, because they've announced things that were supposed to be movies that are now going to be, I guess, a Disney Plus, or the other way around. They were going to do the Lando series. It's now going to be a movie.
They announced Obi-Wan initially as a movie, and then it turned into a series.
Yeah, it was right. And Also, The Mandalorian was going to be a Boba Fett story, but they made it into. I don't know, man.
It feels like Disney the
Charmaine obeyed Chino.
Charmaine obeyed Chino. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
It was in my notes.
It really feels like the executives at Disney don't really understand how Lucasfilm works, and sometimes it feels like Lucasfilm itself doesn't know how Lucasfilm works.
They need to cool it a little bit. So part of the reason that the sequel or the prequel trilogy made fucking gangbusters because it had been quite a while since we'd had a Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. In fact, when the Return of the Jedi ended, everyone thought that was the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then everyone got really excited when it wasn't the end of Star Wars anymore because several years had gone by. A lot of years had gone by. And they did the prequel trilogy.
And those movies were
think about
it
what you want. It's fine. And then in 2005, after Episode 3,
people thought that was the end.
That was the end of Star Wars.
Yeah, because we'd seen the beginning of the story, we'd seen the end of the story, and that was it.
And then like 6 years went by. 6 or 7 years went by.
And Disney was like, "Hey, we're buying Star Wars."
Well, they did that a little bit early, but like the next movie came, and it's like, oh my god, we're getting more Star Wars. Yeah. And there was nothing in between, except for some honestly shitty books.
A couple video games here and there.
Right. Yeah, or like The Force Unleashed 2. That fucking travesty. Now...
The market is saturated.
It is the opposite of all of that. Yeah. And it's like, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but am I sick of Star Wars? I'm feeling a little fatigue over Star Wars. And that's the thing, though, is that when your principal responsibility is bleeding as much cash from an IP as possible. This is not, by the way, specific or even what's the word? A novel thing that only Lucasfilm does. Every corporation in the world does this.
Look at Ubisoft or Activision putting out their games every single year, regardless of whether
if there needs to be one or not.
Needs to be one, if it's good.
Yeah,
just pumping the shit out. Every year.
It's like if you let it breathe a little bit, if you let the franchise breathe, people will be more excited to have more later. You know,
the anticipation.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, as everyone is well aware, we're Disney shills,
of course,
as I'm told often, and I think that probably means that Kathleen Kennedy is watching this every week when we do our show. So
Kathleen Kennedy also appeared in the John Williams documentary a couple times.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in that. Fucking Seth MacFarlane.
The guy from Coldplay?
Yeah.
Was in there? That's the most random inclusion I can think of.
Random, by the way. I didn't realize the guy from Coldplay is kind of hot.
Okay.
I had no idea. Now I know. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane, the guy from Family Guy. There was Ron Howard and obviously Steven Spielberg.
One of the Marsalis brothers. The saxophonist, not Winton.
Oh yes, right. That's the guy he did "Catch Me If You Can" for.
Yep.
Boo-doo-doo. Boo-doo-doo.
This is going back to that documentary again, but the story of how he saw that movie and then wrote to John Williams' agent, like, please request that Maestro Williams makes a concerto out of this. He got a message back. It's already in progress and will be available in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yes. That's, I think, in my saxophone cabinet over there. I learned a lot of it because I was going to play it with a group, but you also need a vibes player because it's like saxophone and vibes with orchestra, and they have a band. They have a band version as well, and it's difficult. It is like very, very difficult.
Everything John Williams ever wrote is hard. Anyway,
So that was a tangent. Kathleen Kennedy, Kathy, listen to me, girl. Let me run Lucasfilm. You can still produce everything.
Going from shilling for Disney to applying to work there.
Yeah, it's like
I thought you hated giant corporations, Daniel.
I do, but I would do it for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's fair. And also a Disney paycheck, I assume.
Yeah, give me that money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some. Let's get into this MCU thing.
Okay.
And then how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, there are 10.
Oh, neat.
I didn't.
Okay.
There you go. So we can talk about each one for about 2 minutes.
All right. Let's get started.
Okay. So what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we just finished Agatha All Along, which had a fantastic season finale last week and the week before. Mm-hmm. In fact, this week instead we got a fucking election, and it went terribly. And I would just like to have Agatha All Along back. Put me back a week ago, mm-hmm. and let me just live in that world for a little bit longer.
Anyway,
there have been several MCU Disney Plus shows that have come out of varying quality. We're going to discuss the ones that we've seen all of them. Mm-hmm. We're going to discuss the ones that
you don't have What If on there.
Well, it's because it was a live action thing.
Oh, okay, live action.
Though we can talk about it.
Okay,
yeah. It's fine. There are no rules. Yeah. We make up all the rules, as it turns out. So I think this will probably end up being like another video on YouTube. So if you're watching this, go and like and subscribe and all that other shit. Let us know what you thought of each one. We're gonna give each one a grade, a scale from 1 to 10.
Okay.
10 being the best thing in the entire world, and 1 being like The Room or something. So let's start with.
I'll just start at the beginning and.
Yeah, we'll start at the beginning of my list. So WandaVision.
Okay.
WandaVision has some of the best music in all of the MCU in it, and it's one of the reasons why I have this as an 8. Well, also, this show was ballsy as fuck and had a really interesting premise. And granted, the last episode ends with shitty laser fists. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I've gotten over it. However, the rest of it is so inventive and neat and novel and like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Heartwarming at times.
Okay, yeah.
That I really liked watching every episode. And I loved how there was, in every episode, there's like this weird commercial for a product or something, and it ends up being just kind of weird. So the whole premise is that instead of getting therapy, Wanda Maximoff
turns this town into a TV sitcom that progresses through time,
and everyone is just their characters in her in her story. And every episode, or most of the episodes, are a different era of television.
Like there's the I Love Lucy episode. There's the Malcolm in the Middle episode,
and they're all fantastic. They all have their own theme songs. They introduce Billy and Tommy, who are really neat characters from the comics. You can't just
grow past your grief, and the kids grow past their grief.
Yeah, and it's funny that like this show could have lost me because I hate I Love Lucy. I don't like black and white TV. I think it's weird, and I didn't grow up then.
Yeah.
But I still liked this, and after the first couple of episodes, it's like it's really ballsy and inventive, and I wish that there were more shows like this. So I give it an 8. What do you give it?
Probably like a 6.5, 7.
Okay.
So I absolutely despised the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I was at the verge of just
really?
stop watching.
You didn't think so? There's when they do dinner. And
like obviously there was something going on there, but like
where she's like stop it, like over and over again, like that. There's this weird foreboding thing.
Like it was weird, but it wasn't enough to keep me engaged beyond how much I didn't like the rest of the episodes. The 3rd episode was what got me hooked in, because like I was genuinely interested in what was happening outside of the hex rather than what was happening inside it. And the last episode was as we said not the best. So yeah, I feel like 6.5, 7.
Energy hands.
Yeah.
Magic, kind of.
Yeah, like the middle, like once we got there and they explained what the hell was going on, I was like, okay, I'm with this. Okay. Just the beginning and the end didn't work for me.
What about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is 2021?
God.
This okay.
I have to give this like a 4.
I gave this one a 6.
Okay.
Some of this show, it's not
6 might be closer. Yeah.
It's not exactly the show's fault. This show was ruined by COVID.
Yes.
Because the original story that they were like, it was cut and ready to go, was about a global pandemic, and then a global pandemic happened.
And Disney was like, ooh.
Yeah, we're like, oh, okay, so we're going to make it about something entirely different. We don't know how.
But we're going to do it.
I like the introduction of Sam, is because at the end of Endgame, Cap gives his shield to Sam and everything, and in this rivalry that he and Bucky end up having, and but it's almost like a buddy cop thing at times. I thought that was cool, and there's an introduction of a character that was like a super soldier guy in World War II.
Bradley, yeah.
Oh, and
I want to say it was the Vietnam War. Maybe I'm wrong.
It might have been Vietnam. I thought it was World War II, maybe. But I guess he'd probably be way older.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, if you're on super soldier serum, I think you live for a long time
Anyway.
Yeah. So there's not a ton to say about it.
It had its moments. Yeah. It had pretty good fight scenes in general, I would say. It's just it was just had to be cut up, and the plot just didn't make sense.
However, Sam did have that buddy that is hot, who is in
oh yeah, I thought I recognized that he had a
Captain America in the Brave New World. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess 5.5.
Yeah. Loki.
I
fucking love this show.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah. I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't give it anything a 10 because I have I should have just made it on a scale from 1 to 9 because I'll probably for something to have no flaws to be perfect 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
Tom Hiddleston is brilliant.
He's so good. And this is another thing where
Sylvie was also fantastic.
All of the
Owen Wilson, holy shit.
All of the Lokis. Owen Wilson, who I do not enjoy in general. Yeah. I loved in this show.
I did not think he had the range for this character. Like a relatively serious.
I didn't think he'd ever be in anything other than Meet the Fockers, but here we are, or Meet the Parents, I guess.
I guess just all the core cast, because they got Ki Hui.
What character?
Ouroboros, Obi.
Oh, the guy from
Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah. He played Short Round in Goonies. I can't remember what his name is.
Another fantastic. Just
everything about it was good. And then this is another show that had a lot of inventive shit with the TVA and the weird bullshit, but also all the different Loki variants. Yeah. And we
Alligator Loki.
Yeah, Alligator Loki, Richard E. Grant Loki.
Oh my god.
And then the thing that I love about it is that they turn it up in the second season, and this show ends on one of those moments in TV that brings tears to my eyes because it's so powerful, and they found a way to make the guy that attacked New York for Thanos into a fucking hero, and it's like, how did you do that? And it was brilliant. I thought it was really great.
The biggest attraction from the show honestly isn't even the show's fault. It's just that what's his name? Actor of Kang.
Oh, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors is a huge piece of shit
but was also really good.
Yeah, ridiculously good actor, ridiculously terrible human being. Yeah. And is written out of the MCU for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think Kang's probably not a thing anymore. That's why they called Robert Downey Jr. up.
They from what I understand, they moved up the Doctor Doom plot line to just replace Kang.
Right.
So
thanks, Jonathan Majors. Thanks for being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Ooh. 8.5, 9?
I gave this a 7.
Ooh, okay.
And 7, remember, 7 is not bad.
Yeah.
This we might have to watch this again, my partner and I, because this is like
it's Christmas.
It's a Christmas thing. I actually really enjoyed this one too quite a bit, and there's a bunch of shit they brought into it with Wilson Fisk, and Kate Bishop is a really cool character.
Kate Bishop.
Clint, this is where we get Florence Pugh's character
for the very first time.
Yeah, and the whole thing is really interesting, I thought. And I like this. I like the set. This is where we meet Echo, the character. Yeah. Lots of ancillary characters.
It has had repercussions past itself.
And also, Jeremy Renner is a good actor, and I really liked watching him in this.
He bounces off Kate Bishop very well.
He also, his demeanor is how I feel.
just perpetually done with this shit.
Yeah, and like, oh, why does my back hurt? I totally get that now. So yeah, I give that a 7. Moon Knight. So I liked the idea of this. I gave this a 6.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
This is another show that just ends with weird sky lasers.
Yeah, like the highs of this show, like at its best, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, there are some really good parts.
It's just
Oscar Isaac, for example.
Isaac is brilliant
in both roles.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, at its worst,
I also kind of like Khonshu. I think Khonshu is kind of fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Like the highs are really high, but the lows are also really
pretty
low.
Yeah, pretty bad. Yeah. Okay, Miss Marvel. I have this as an 8. I love Kamala Khan.
I was thinking around 7.5. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that she is a Captain Marvel fangirl because that is literally me.
Yeah.
So like all of her like Captain Marvel shit, it's like that's what my room
and
would
like
look
her
like.
fan fiction.
Yeah.
And her.
There are some crunchy things in this. I think it's probably stopped me from giving it a 9.
The flashback episode, the entire episode of characters that we like, starring this one famous Indian actress that wasn't in the show at all to this point.
Yeah, there's some plot.
That was kind of weird.
There are other plot things that I like weren't very cohesive, and some motivations of the villains that didn't make sense. That didn't end up like gelling for me.
It's fun.
The art direction though.
Yeah.
The
end credit sequences.
Right.
I watched every one of those just because they look so good.
Yeah. Also, Kamala Khan's parents are hilarious. I love them.
There's a reason they're the big supporting actors in fucking the Marvels.
Yes, right.
They're really good.
Yeah, and I love that there's a superhero that has just 2 functional parents.
Just
that
a
love
regular
her.
family.
Right.
Yeah.
I gave this a solid 8. I thought it was really good. Yeah. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. I gave this an 8 too.
Yeah.
And you know what? All you fucking incel motherfuckers can come at me. Oh, well, she torqued with Megan Thee Stallion. It's like, fuck you. First of all, you've never read the comics. That's something that she would do, right? So first of all,
second off, the fact that it offended you is exactly what it was designed to do.
Yeah, you were the guys they were trying to offend, as it turns out. The entire message that they send with this show, which is that first of all, women can be sexual beings and not be sluts or some kind of negative connotation that we never assign to men when they do shit like this. Women fuck and they enjoy doing it, and that's perfectly okay, and it doesn't make them immoral.
Women can be sexual beings without it being for the pleasure of a man.
Right, and that's the thing, is that this show isn't concerned very much about the male point of view.
Yeah.
And
there are some points where they very deliberately say, hey, fuck men.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yeah, and guys, the bad guy's Ben Shapiro, right? Like, it's like a Ben Shapiro analog.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, it's no fucking, like, of course people like Star Wars Theory and Mike Zero had a problem with it.
Of course.
Because they're the incel crybaby boys that the show's making fun of. Plus, she fucks Daredevil, and I'm really happy for her.
I love the part where she actually went down to Disney and talked to Kevin Feige.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is there are a lot of like story things that worked really well. She-Hulk like jumps off the page in the comics. Like she's kind of like, she's a little bit like Deadpool.
She breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Like they knew what they were doing with the character.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that quite a bit. Okay, Secret Invasion. I give this a 5.
I'd say a 4.
And you know what?
I wanted to like this show more than I did.
Jackson.
Like, Sam Jackson's brilliant. I love getting this insight into Nick Fury's home life and what makes him the person that he is.
He's fucking a Skrull, and that's kind of interesting. Like,
Good
I would
for him.
it's like, well,
okay, yeah.
How? But also, you don't have to tell me that. Like, I'm kind of interested in a weird, like, oh, you met an alien and then you fucked her. Like, of course you did. You're Nick Fury.
Emilia Clarke and Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes, Ben Mendelsohn.
Brilliant actors.
Yes, very
Love
good. An atrocious, terrible end fight.
Yes.
With the fucking Drax arms and.
Also, they fucking killed Maria Hill.
Sky lasers.
Come on, man. Like, Maria Hill was great. You didn't have to kill her off like that.
Yeah.
as much as we praised the Miss Marvel end credit sequences, I have to ding this for the terrible AI intro sequences.
And they did the AI shit in the closing shit too, I think, right?
Yeah. AI doesn't look good. Don't use it for your professional projects.
Yeah. And also, motherfucker, you're Disney. You can afford to hire a fucking artist.
Yes.
Don't be like that. Echo. I gave this a 5 as well. I'm
leaning like 6.5, 7.
Okay. I think it's really important having a story with a Native American lead, like that shit we need, obviously, and she does it really well.
Yeah.
But
all the native actors did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Like
that's the part that's the part of the show that does really well. It's like the authenticity of,
like, Disney had buy-in from the actual tribal population, and it shows. Like the last 2 episodes or so, they have like the whole tribe get together for their fair or powwow or whatever it is,
or rain dance or something. Yeah.
And like it feels real.
Yeah.
It
also, Wilson Fisk in this, the relationship that they dive into with Echo and Wilson Fisk is really interesting. And I'm glad they did that part. There's just, I guess,
also, as long as before you get into
I might be being kind of harsh now that I'm realizing there is actually a lot of shit. I might be closer to a 6 on this.
Really good fight direction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
the hand-to-hand stuff was really neat. Oh, also, not only is she she's a Native American character, but she's also deaf.
Yep.
Which, it's like any chance you have to reach out to kids who have...
She's deaf. She's missing.
She's an amputee. Yeah. Right. Like anytime you can have more kids see themselves in a superhero. Like, that's what superheroes are for.
Representation matters.
Yeah, and it's not for all of us adults who wanted, it wasn't exactly like the comics. And it's like, it's way more important that a kid that's an amputee or a kid that's deaf or a kid that's black or whatever watches one of these shows and is like I could be Echo, or I could be fucking
Miss Marvel,
or the Black Panther, or whatever. Like that's more important than whether or not it exactly followed the comics, or that like your little pet fan theory about what was going to happen happened or not. Like that is less important than the people who are kids who are watching this for the first time, that they get something out of it and they feel empowered. And that's why I liked it a whole bunch. All right, Agatha all along.
9.
I give it a 9 as well. This is my favorite. This edged out Loki just a little bit. And I think it's because I've been obsessed with Billy Kaplan for such a long time. It's like, and I really love Joe Locke. I was a fan of Joe Locke before he was in this show.
God, the entire cast was so good.
I know, Patti LuPone.
They lined up so many good actors, and they all did better than I thought they were going to.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, you know what to expect with some of them.
Yeah, like Katie Hahn, we had seen her in WandaVision, and like we know, okay, that's who she is. Patti LuPone is a legendary Broadway actress.
Yeah, like you kind of know what you're getting with her too. And I benefited a little bit being the target demographic for this show, because this show was for the gays. And if you're watching it and you're pissed that the gays got a show, just
get
fuck off.
over yourselves.
Yeah. Like, it's okay. It's okay for you to like it. It does. It's not going to make you gay if you think it's a good show. Just learn to enjoy something for once in your fucking life, because there's so much good shit, and like the way that the episodes are structured and the Witch's Road and the music, like all of it's so cool, and the way they did the practical sets and the acting. And
the little mysteries hidden in the writing.
Yes, and the epic character moments with Alice and Lilia and
or when Rio just takes her knife and cuts through the backdrop and walks out.
Oh yeah, because fucking like, of course, April Ludgate's in this, and she is having so much fucking fun in this show. You can tell that she's just waiting to be an evil witch.
She has been waiting to do that witch cackle her entire life.
But also this internal struggle with Billy about whether or not he's Billy or William, where his brother is,
what he's willing to do to get what he wants.
And the twist at the end. This I love a twist that makes me go back and watch and then realize things I should have caught earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Where there are these dialogue things from Katie Hahn earlier on where she's like you're so much like your mother, and like, look at it, this is all so fucking dramatic. Of course it is, and
straight off your vision board, isn't it?
I know, and it's like looking back, you're like, she knew the whole fucking time
because she knows the Witch's Road is bullshit.
Yeah, because she made it up. Yeah, that whole twist is brilliant.
Yeah,
this is so. I don't mean to cross streams. One of the problems that we had with Star Wars: The Acolyte was that the mystery and the reveals were kind of telegraphed and kind of like, this is how you do a reveal. Like,
it was there if you were super into it and already suspected that things weren't the way they seemed.
And we had even figured some of it out, right? With Patty LuPone's like weird things that she said and like putting them together backwards, right? Some of it we figured out. And I think that shit was there.
I think that was intentional. They wanted you to figure out some of it
and
so
not,
that you don't
so you're not watching,
think about the big thing.
Yeah. And wow. And you know what? And another thing I really enjoyed was that they resisted the urge to do their laser fist fight for the last episode.
They did it off screen in the second to last episode.
Yeah. And
which is very gutsy for Marvel, because they usually put that shit front and center because they think that's what the audience wants.
Right. And instead they end the show with this personal, introspective, beautiful relationship for most of the episode between Agatha and her son and death and everything. And then having the reveal that Billy just like, because I mean, I don't know how he's feeling about Wanda these days. I don't think he's feeling very good about her at all, but that's the most Wanda shit in the world to miss your brother so much that you just conjure a fucking like a legend with props and houses and everything,
and then grab your brother's soul out of the ether and slam it into a boy who is gonna die.
Because you know what,
it worked for me, why not?
It's like, you know, if you I've made the Witch's Road, why shouldn't I? You know, the whole thing. And also the like, God, I wish I hadn't killed Deborah Rudd in that, because I really liked her. And that tune that they sing, the Witch's Road theme, both versions, by the way. And Katie Hahn's investigation, like the beginning with her, like the mayor of Eastwood or Eastwood or whatever,
the hard-boiled detective.
And when you look at the different scenes through everyone else's point of view, with her fucking garden hose gun and her fake car and shit, like, there's so much good about that show, and I wish they would make more Marvel shows like that, because it was absolutely enchanting. All right, I think that's going to be the end of our list. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the MCU shows in general, and which ones you like more than others. And then Anthony Dean Official says, "Hi,
hello,
hi there. How's it going, man? I hope you're not a bot and you're going to try to sell me Viagra here in a second, because that happens sometimes. It's very weird." Here in just a couple seconds, we're going to go and play some video games with our buddies from Gremlin Squad. So please join us.